welcome back to my channel, Happy Little Knits. I am Chanel Shea, and today we are doing another podcast. We are in a different location again. We're in my bedroom, sitting on my bed, for a couple different reasons. So we haven't been filming in the craft room at all, really, because it's just been too hot. We don't have any AC in there, and our house, the way that it's facing the sun right in that window, so it's just too hot. I've been filming at my kitchen table in the dining room, and it's been great. It's been a nice backdrop. We have the AC going in the living room, and it's just been a really nice backdrop to have with the hutch in the background and everything. But my husband's working from home today, so he's using the dining room table. So that's why we're here filming in my bedroom. Sophie is downstairs. She's hanging out with him. They're getting some good bonding time in, and this is the first Wednesday where I don't have a whole lot going on, so I figured I would come film. Yeah. There's a lot happening right now. I have my AC going because it's currently, I think, like almost 90 degrees outside Fahrenheit, and it's getting up to 100. The other thing that's going on is we are getting a new roof right now, so there might be a lot of noise in the background. I'm using my microphone, so I'm hoping that will drown out some of the background noise and you can just hear my voice. But if you hear everything else going on, it is what it is. We're just gonna have to cruise through and make it work. Okay, so this might be a bit of a shorter podcast. There's not a whole lot that I have to show, but yeah, we'll make it work. So first things first, I do have an FO, and I'm actually very proud of it. I think I am, out of everything I've ever made, I think I'm the most proud of this. Last time I spoke with you, I was working on my Melange sweater by Petitknit, and I finished it. If it wasn't so hot, I'd be wearing this right now because I am so obsessed with it. I am so obsessed with it. So I finished this. Today is the 16th, and I finished this. What day did I finish this? I want to say like 2 weeks ago. I finished it on a Friday. Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago. On Friday. 2.5 weeks ago. Anyway, it's been about 2.5 weeks since I finished this. And yeah, I just love it so much. The fabric is so soft. Now, I didn't marl, I mean, I've talked about this before, but I didn't marl two contrasting colors together like to make melange, obviously. But up close, you can see that there are some browns and some creams together. Brown and cream. This is the yarn that I used. It's naturally, that will focus. It makes a melange. Oh my gosh. Can we take a second to appreciate the lighting in here? Whoa. Anyway, so it's a brown strand and a like cream strand plied together. So in a way, it like makes it a melange, kind of. So yeah, so I just used that. I was like, I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna use that, and it's not exactly like from a distance. This just looks brown, but I mean that's fine, you know. I really just enjoyed it for the construction of the pattern. It's a drop shoulder, and yeah, this is my second time doing a drop shoulder design, and oh my gosh, I had so much fun with this. I the first time I did a melange was, the first time I did a drop shoulder, they're right above me right now. Whew, anyway. Okay, so this is my second time doing a melange. Oh my gosh. My second time doing a drop shoulder. Holy cow. The first one that I did was the Farnham Tea by the Knit Pearl Girl, Sophie. Sophie from the Knit Pearl Girl. And I showed you how that was my first time doing drop shoulder. It was my first time doing German short rows. And the German short rows and the seam was really gapey and didn't look right, and my lines didn't match up, but that had nothing to do with the pattern. It was just my first time doing that, and so it looked really bad. But after doing that I understood the construction a little bit better. I'm so sorry if that's drowning out my voice. I'm so sorry. We're just gonna keep going. We just gotta keep rolling with the punches. Anyway, so this was my second time doing it, and I understood the construction a lot better to be able to apply my new skills to this. And I just want to say, I've said this 3 times about this sweater, but the seams just look so good. This is the shoulder. It looks like they were sewed together in a factory. They just look so good. Yeah, so making the sweater was a lot of fun. We had some issues in the beginning. If you watch my previous videos, then you know. But if you are new here, I will just go over it briefly. So if you don't know how a German short row works, or you've never done a drop shoulder or anything like that, the way it works is you cast on just a few stitches. You cast on a few stitches, and then you work German short rows to increase, but you kind of, instead of having a rectangle, you're making kind of like a rectangular shape without the 2 top corners. It's slanted, but you're increasing your panel. And you just work that down until, you get however many stitches, or however wide, or whatever, And then you put your working stitches down here, you put your live stitches on hold, and then you come back up at one side and you do a front panel to shape the shoulder. So front panel, and then you come over, put these on hold, come over to the side, and then you join them, and then you work down, and then you join the sides, and you're working the round. So you can see around the neck. We did some shaping for a neck hole. And yeah, and then you come in and you do your sleeves. It was really interesting because for the sleeves, she did German short rows on the top as well. I've never done German short rows for sleeves before, so that was really interesting. So what I did was I did my German short rows, and then I did the 2 front panels. I joined, and then I worked down, and then connected, and I worked the body a little bit. But when I joined the sleeve, for the armholes, I noticed that the hole was this big. It was a gaping, huge hole. And I just thought that was way too big for a sleeve hole. It didn't make sense to me. And I kept reading the pattern, okay, am I supposed to go back and seam this up? Or are we just going to have giant sleeves? How does this work, The holes were just too big. So what I was confused on is in the pattern, it says measure from where you picked up stitches, and then that's however much length you need, and then you join in the round. So I was confused because if you can see, this is slanted. It doesn't sit straight across like this. It's slanted. So what I was confused on was, where do I measure from? We picked up stitches in multiple places. At what point do I measure from? So what I did was I just came to the very end, the last German short row, and I just measured from there, and then that's how I got my armhole. And I also just kind of guessed a little bit, and I was like, that looks good. So it worked out. The sleeves, I would say, are the perfect sleeves. Yeah. So then I had to rip back quite a bit, fix that, join them around, and then keep going. And I think before I fully fixed it, I like took a break from that because I was like, I'm so annoyed by this. And then I did the collar. And I was like, I'm just gonna do the collar, and then we'll move forward. So I did the collar, and then I seamed it up. You know, you do like a cast off with where you pick up a stitch and then you cast them off together, so it's like seaming it closed. You can kind of see like this ridge here. Yeah, right here. So I did that, but the issue that we had was, I don't know how, but my ribbing got like super twisted, and so we had our stitches like extremely slanted, and it was like wonky, and we had like puckering right here, right here, and it just looked bad. So then I was even more frustrated because that means I'd have to undo the entire seam and re-seam it. So this whole sweater was just a hot freaking mess, and I was so over it. What I did was I just put it to the side. I was like, I need to be rid of this sweater for right now. I put it in the closet, and I just left it there for a while. And then I cast on some socks, and when I was ready, I picked it back up again, fixed the collar first, and then I rejoined, worked some rounds, and then I did the sleeves next, and then I finished the body. Because I don't know about you, but I always get to the point where I finish the entire body of the sweater, and then I don't want to do the sleeves. So I was like, my tactic was to finish the top half of the sweater, so that way all I had to do was just finish the body, and then we could be done. That is my Melange sweater by Petitknit. Now, when I blocked it, that's another story. So I use Big Twist Heather in the colorway beige, and it's just 100% acrylic. I've used 100% acrylic for so many things, okay? I've blocked a few things that were made of 100% acrylic and had no issues. However, I've never used, let me rephrase that. I have used this yarn many times, but I've never blocked Big Twist before. So I didn't know what to expect. When I blocked this out, I was really trying to pull down the front, because what I did when I ripped back, I was measuring the front panel like how you're supposed to, but I was getting impatient, and so I didn't measure the back at all. I don't know why I didn't do this, but I didn't measure the back, so the front sits up a little bit higher than the back, and I was working like this instead of like this. I was working like this to finish the body. And I just kept saying like, no, it's just the way it's sitting. It's just the way it's laying. Every time I was looking at it, I was like, it's fine. I finished it, tried it on, and the back came to like the middle of my butt, and then the front came to like the top of like my belt line, you know? So I was like, I'll just block that out. It'll be fine. I blocked it out, but a few things happened. First, it's still slanted. It's just fits a little bit better. So now the back comes to my butt. I don't know why the back blocked out at all. No idea. I didn't even touch the back. But it comes down to the bottom of my butt, and then the top comes just a little bit past my belt line, like just a little bit lower. So, I mean, I'm not mad at the length on either side. Like, they're both great. I'm just upset that it's slanted because it looks kind of funny. But the way I plan on wearing this, it doesn't matter anyway, because the way I plan on wearing this is with jeans and tucking the front into my jeans anyway. So it worked out, I guess. Yeah, so when I blocked it out, though, it stretched the neck. So now the neck sits pretty wide. I mean, I guess you can't really tell right now with it like this, but when I put it on, like, I like my neckline like this. Like, not super close, but also not super wide. And it sits really wide. So I have some elastic, what's it called? String? No. It's not like thread. It's like that thick elastic. It's like, anyway, I'm going to try and put some of that in there, and it should help cinch the neck close, and that should solve that problem just fine. This is a double folded, no, this is a folded collar, so it's double on both sides. So you knit it long and then you fold it in half. So I'll be able to just weave that in, and then it should be fine. That solves that issue. So once that's fixed, I have no problems with the body of the sweater. The sleeves, on the other hand, So the sleeves, I love them. They're like the perfect width all the way down. They're not balloon like, but they aren't stuck to you either, if that makes sense. So they're like loose up here, but then it's just slightly tapers in to where it's not the same width all the way throughout, but it's a comfortable, like it hangs a little bit. It's comfortable, you know, but it doesn't look poofy, if that makes sense. I'm not the biggest fan of balloon sleeves, so I'm really happy with the way that these drape and the way that these fit. However, before blocking it, the sleeve, like the cuff, came to like, I want to say right here, but if I stretch my arms out, it would come back a little bit. And I don't like that feeling. I like my sleeves to come up, you know, at a decent, I would like them to come up to like the middle of my hand. So if I stretch, they came back to my wrist, you know? So when blocking this, I just laid them out. I barely touched them. I want to say I stretched them like maybe half an inch. And I only did that for a while, like for the first couple hours, and then I took out the things and it kind of like came back in like how it did. But for some reason, the sleeves bloomed. Okay, they blossomed. They are so long now. Like when I wear it, it hangs down here, and so I have to like. So I have the cuff here. I love the way the cuff is because you see how it comes in, you know, and I love the ribbing. I love the way it looks, but I have to roll it back so much. So now I have this big bulky sleeve, like cuff that sits here, and you don't even get to see the ribbing because I have to fold it back, and all you see is the pearl bumps, which I'm not mad at. I like the texture difference. It looks fine. Like, you know, if you fold it, it doesn't look too bad. You know, like that looks cute, right? But however, it gets so thick, and because these sleeves are like pretty wide, it's just I have this thick bump here, and then they kind of like drape open. So I don't know what I'm gonna do about that. I was thinking about weaving in some elastic around like the base of the cuff to cinch this in a little bit and see if maybe that would help. But I don't know. We'll have to play around with that and see what happens. If I could do that, then the sleeves would be perfect because the elastic would sit right here, and then the sleeves would just kind of drape over that a little bit maybe, and it would just sit comfortably, and then I'd have absolutely no problems with it. If not, I'm not ripping back. I'm not redoing the sleeves. I'm not redoing the cuff. It's just gonna be how it is. That's okay. It's a very oversized sweater. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I love this sweater so much. I do plan on making another one eventually in a different color. I really want to do like a plum purple, like a really moody plum. I really love like fall colors in the fall time, like the oranges and browns and reds. But in wintertime, girl, in wintertime, just the rich, dark purples, okay? You know what I'm saying? Like wine purple and like maroon and like a dark plum or a dusty plum, just moody purples. You know, I picture myself having like a plum dark, moody, oversized sweater with like a dark lip and then, you know, dark makeup and oh, look like vampire vibes. You know what I'm saying? That's what I want. Just the gothic, just dark for wintertime. Oh my gosh. Oh yeah, with like some black leggings and like I don't even know. It just would look so matching knee-high purple boots. Okay, like okay. Anyway, I need to stop. So that is my Melange sweater by Petitknit. Now, I don't think I talked about this very much, but I try to put off like using Petitknit's patterns for so long because everybody uses her patterns, okay? Like a million people have like the same thing. And I was just like, you know what? Like I really don't want to do that. I don't want to like be like everyone else. You know, like I just want to like have my own things. But then I look at these patterns and I look at these people wearing them and it's like I need it. Okay? Like it looks so good. One of her patterns specifically that I am like absolutely obsessed with is the champagne cardigan. Like it just, especially when you use mohair for that, it just looks so luxurious. it just looks so good, you know. I I tried putting it off for so long, and I would try to just use free patterns. I absolutely love using free patterns. It's just, it's hard to find exactly what you're looking for when it comes to free patterns. So I have gone to Petitknit's website so many times, and I would just like fill my cart, and then I'd be like, I'm not gonna do that, anyway, exit. And I finally just like, I don't know what it was, but I was like, I'm gonna try it. So I finally, got the Melange sweater pattern because I found this yarn. I was like, this would be perfect for that. And so I bought this and then made the sweater, and I now see what all the hype is about. She makes great patterns, and like everything that she makes is just absolutely glorious. So, yeah, I give in, and I finally did it. I knit a Petitknit pattern. Now, earlier I had mentioned that I started knitting socks. I got really just sick of working on that when I messed up so much. And I wanted to knit some socks. I wanted like a small knit that was really easy to just sit and zone out and just do it. You know what I mean? So we're going to go back to the infamous red yarn. Okay. I have talked about this so many times that I'm sick of talking about it now. I got this yarn a year ago. I'm pretty sure I bought it back in like July or August of last year. So we all know about it. It's the Yarn Bee fingering weight. I forgot what it's called. I think it's 100% polyester or something like that. You can go back to my last videos. I've talked about it so many times. I had so much of it that I wanted to knit a pair of socks with it, but I wanted to pair it with something because that yarn is so thin that it just, oh my gosh, it drives me nuts. This is the yarn. I have it sitting in my project bag with another project that is shedding really bad, so that's what all that little fuzz is, but I love it. It's like a crimson red. It's coming out a lot brighter on camera than what it is in person. In person, it's like a blood crimson red with notes of black and maroon, and yeah, see there's some black right there. But you can see this is like really thin, and then if you stretch it, it gets super thin, you know? So I wanted to pair it with something, and I could have held it 2 strands double, but I actually don't know why I didn't do that. Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know why I didn't do that. I could have done that. But anyway, so in my last podcast, I talked about we had gone to an alpaca farm and I got that red yarn. Look at how pretty that is. It's a little bit brighter than this one. But I'm pairing these two together. I actually have the label for this yarn this time because if you remember from my last podcast, I didn't know where the second skein was, and I found it. So I have the label. It is Rowan Alpaca Classic. Made with super fine alpaca and cotton. It's 25 grams, and it's 120 meters, 131 yards, approximately. 57% alpaca, 43% cotton. So I'm pairing these two together. Okay. This is the second skein because I have already finished the first sock. And I will show you now. Dun, 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 dun. I don't remember if I showed you in my last podcast or not, actually, now that I think about it. If I had it finished at that time. But it's doing some funky stuff right here because of what I did. So I knit all of this with the 2 strands together, and then the heel I only held 1 strand of the Yarn Bee instead of having the mohair with it because I was afraid I wasn't going to have enough of the mohair to do the heel, and I go back and forth on if I did have enough or not, because this is what I have left over from that first skein, and it's like I feel like that might have been enough, but at the same time, like I really don't know for sure if it was enough or not. So I guess I'm glad that I wasn't risking it playing yarn chicken, but at the same time, like I feel like I could have made that work, because these two strands together makes this sock so thick and so stiff. I haven't blocked this yet, so maybe it'll loosen up a little bit, but that's why this is bunching in so much. And I'm worried because I chose to do the heel of all parts of the foot as just one strand of the yarn when I should have done maybe the cuff with just one strand, because the heel is the part that wears out, the earliest, or the first part to wear out of a sock, right? Because you're putting pressure on it. So I don't know. We'll see over time how it works out, but I tried it on and it fits perfectly and it looks great. It's super soft and I'm really excited to wear this. Look how it makes my eyes just like pop. Whoa. Okay, anyway. I used what's her name? Crazy Sock Lady? I think her name's Kay from the Crazy Sock Lady. I just used her tutorial on YouTube, her free tutorial. So I did 64 stitches, I believe. And yeah, I did 64 stitches and then I did 40 rounds. So I did 39 and then on the 40th round is when I started the heel flap. So that's how I got this length, this part. And then I did the slip knit, heel flap, and gusset, or heel flap. You know what I'm talking about. I don't know all the structuralization of this. And then did the heel flap, gusset, heel turn, whatever it's called, all that good stuff. You can see here. There's that. And then I'm pretty sure I did like another 40 rounds, I believe. If not either 30 or 40. Yeah, I think it was like 40. And then I did my toe decreases. I don't know why. I did Kitchener stitch, but I didn't follow tutorial. I just went based off memory, and I think my memory's wrong because it looks like crap. It looks like this seam is backwards. Like the seam should be on the inside of the sock because if it would focus, it just looks like not very good. Super pointy and like it just looks backwards. So oh well, who cares? It goes on your feet, right? So it doesn't really matter that much. This is how much I have done on the second sock. I started this up after I finished the first sock, and then I kind of got like sick of it. And so I started working on my Melange sweater, and I finished the Melange sweater, and now I'm like, I don't want to go back to this. I'm like on such a high of using thick needles that I don't want to go back to using these. These are my 2.25, I believe. 2.5. So I don't know, it's too thin for me right now. Just too little. But that is how much I have done. I have a sock and a piece of a sock. And then I don't know what I'm going to do with this leftover yarn. I'm assuming I will have leftover of this, and I just want to burn it. But at the same time, obviously I'm not going to do that. But it's just like I've had this for so long, and if I have like a scrap this big of this yarn, what am I going to use that for? You know what I mean? So we'll see. Who knows? Maybe I'll run out, and then we'll really be screwed because I'm not buying more. And on top of that, Hobby Lobby downsized like all of their skeins. I think they're hand dyed or whatever, but they don't really have a whole lot of. They had a wall with like hand dyed and like skeins and all kinds of cool stuff, and they got rid of it. So I can't even buy more from there if I wanted to. So those are my FOs, and I think a good segue into whips, since one of them was a whip. My next whip, my only whip, kind of, because I'm not really working on the sock, and I have one more. I think like the day after? No, a week after, like a couple days after. Yeah, it was a couple days after I finished the Melange sweater. I cast on something new, and then ripped it out and decided I don't want to do that. So if you remember, I think from like a couple podcasts ago, I had a lot of this gray 100% alpaca wool left over from my Farnham tea. I had a crap ton of this. I didn't measure or I didn't weigh it, but I had a whole skein, which was I think like 230 grams. No, 120 grams. I don't remember, but there was like a whole lot of it. And then I had like a little under a whole cake of the second one. So I basically had like two whole, like a skein and then a whole cake because one of them was caked up of that yarn. So if you remember, actually, I don't know if I ever talked about this, but one thing that I wanted to do so badly was knit the, um, what's it called? The Lanark, the Lanark sweater, I think is what it's called by Crayabea. It's that one where it has the color work in the middle and then it goes on the sleeves. The day I first saw that when she first like announced it, oh my gosh, my heart stopped. Okay, because I don't know what it is, but that sweater had me in a chokehold for like the longest time. But I didn't want to just knit it with just any old yarn. I wanted to get good yarn for it. But then I started doing test knits and then got caught up with everything else, so I haven't had a chance to knit it yet. So I was like, I'm going to use this gray yarn to knit that sweater. And then I was going to use, if you remember, if you've been here since day one, last like fallish winter, I cast on a sweater and I was trying to do a color work type pattern to look like that sweater. And I was using a I think it's Lion Brand respun 100% polyester yarn in the colorway charcoal or something like that, or raven. Anyway, it's a charcoal blackish grayish color. I was going to use that because remember I didn't finish that sweater and it was a whole nightmare because I was winging it when I should have been following a pattern. So I was going to use that yarn to do the color work on the sweater and it was just going to look great, right? So I cast on. The thing is though is the yarn was off gauge by like 5 or 6 stitches and I was like, it's fine, we'll just go for it. And I don't know, I just was knitting it and I was like, I don't want to knit another sweater right now, actually. Like, I'm not in the mood for this right now. And this yarn does not want to be a sweater. I've attempted a sweater with this, a cardigan with this. I've attempted to use it so many times and this yarn does not want to be that. I don't feel like forcing it to be that. So I had a different idea. I went on Petitknit's website because we all know it. The Sophie shawl. Okay. I know. Everybody has knit it. We all know what it is. Okay, I don't even have to explain it to you because just saying that is probably making you vomit in your mouth already. I know, shut up, okay? We're just gonna go with it. I've seen that shawl and that scarf everywhere. I've seen it in my sleep because it's just everywhere, okay? Everyone and their grandma has knit that. Everyone and their grandma has knit the Sophie scarf because they don't want to knit the Sophie shawl because it is a lot of work, okay? I didn't realize how much work went into this until I started doing it. So, I specifically didn't want to do Petitknit's patterns, and I even more specifically didn't want to do anything that had to do with the name Sophie in it, okay? Because everyone did it, and I didn't want to be that, okay? But it had me in a chokehold. Because at the same time, I was like, I love that so much. It looks so good, okay? Like, I can't not do it, okay? We all knew that it was going to happen eventually. We're here today doing this, okay? So, I cast on. I'm holding 2 strands double, 1 strand from each cake because I didn't feel like pulling 2 from 1 cake and tangling it up. Yeah, I don't want to risk tangling it up because what if I didn't like it and I wanted to rip back? Then I'd have a huge tangled mess of very thin alpaca wool, and I did not want to do that. So I'm holding 1 strand from each cake. I cast it on, let's see, today's Wednesday. I cast it on last Friday. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Today would be the 6th day of like a full day knitting. And I'm not meaning like start knitting it when you wake up to knitting to bed. Like obviously I have a child, so I can't do that. But I mean, like, I started in the morning and I would just knit throughout my day whenever I could. So that's why I count Friday as a full day, because I started Friday morning. So I ripped back, I frogged the sweater idea, and I started knitting the Sophie shawl. I finished the first half of it in 3 days, and I'm now on the second half. This is the end. I haven't weaved in the ends yet, but this is the beginning. I don't know how to show this off because it's just so long and awkward. This is the point where you start the second half, and this is what I have so far. I am so angry with how much I'm obsessed with this. Okay, like I'm really annoyed by this because it's just so. It's not even blocked. It's not even finished yet. Unblocked, it's just so perfect. This yarn wanted to be this pattern, okay, and I couldn't tell it no because it was meant to be. Okay, it was just meant to be. It's just so perfect. I just can't. It makes me so upset. Okay, so I'm doing the medium size. I was going to do the large size, but I did not think I had enough yarn. So what I did, plus I just got really sick of it and I wanted to hurry up and finish it. So I marked where I did the last increase for the smallest size. And then I just kept knitting to the medium size, and now I'm doing the decreases, but I haven't marked there in case this isn't enough yarn. I don't know. I'm assuming this will be enough. I don't know about this. If this is enough, I could just pull 2 strands. But then again, like I don't know if this is going to get me to the end. So I wanted to have that spot marked in case like if I need to rip back. I'm praying that I do not need to, but if I do, I have it marked so I know like where to rip back to. But yeah, so I don't remember the name of the yarn or who it's by or anything like that. I bought it from a a yarn shop here in Portland. And here in Portland, I don't live in Portland. I bought it in Portland. It's working up great. It's just like it's gonna be just so perfect. Oh my, just look at it, okay? Oh man, I picture wearing this like with a trench coat, and another hand knit sweater and some blue jeans, boot cut with like some cute boots. So what I'm thinking is my ideal outfit would be making this in a darker brown, like a dark brown, like how it is in the pattern, like how the picture is in the pattern, and then wearing it with my melange sweater with like a tan trench coat, and then draping it over the trench coat, like how she does in the pattern, wearing some dark blue jeans, boot cut, like I said, with like some brown boots, with like a slight heel. Do you not want to just fall over and drop dead, die? Like, because is that not like the best outfit ever? You don't even have to tell me because I know that it is. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention this was knit on 4mm needles, and the sleeve was 3.5, I believe, is what I used. And then I'm knitting this with a 5mm needle. So I could have easily sized down if I wanted to because this is really, 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 really stretchy. But I wanted to use 5 because I already knew it would go by so fast. But look at that stretch, okay? When I block this, I'm not going to stretch it out at all. I'm just going to leave it as is because I really like the sizing of it. When I made a gauge swatch, it was off by 1 stitch, just one. And so I just was like, it doesn't matter. Like, even if I was like way off on gauge, it doesn't matter because I'm making a scarf, right? Like, it's a shawl, it's a scarf, whatever you want to call it. So I don't need to worry about like meeting gauge. You know what I mean? So yeah, I just look at this. I'm really obsessed with the I-cord edges. Like, I've never done anything like that before, and it just looks so good. So if you look here, right here. I don't know what happened there, but so basically you only increase on one side, so you have like a straight edge and a slanted edge. And at this point, I had somehow did it increase on this side, and this became my straight edge, and this became my increase edge. And you could see it was like, you see how this kind of like this sits straight. Well, it was slanting, and then it started going, and it just looked so obvious. So I actually put a poll on my Instagram. If you're not following my Instagram, head on over there. What are you doing? Go follow me. And I put a poll up, and I was like, should I frog back or do we ignore it? And at first, everyone was saying, girl, frog back, do it over again. So I went back to that point, and then I fixed it, and I kept going. And then I was like, oh my gosh, you guys are so right. But then, like, after posting that second post of saying, like, you guys are so right, everyone started saying, just ignore it. And I was like, where were y'all earlier? Because I would have totally ignored it. But I'm actually glad that I ripped back, because it was actually kind of bothering me a lot looking at it, like seeing how just, it just was driving me nuts. So I'm really glad that I ripped back, and it looks really, really good. So my plan with this, I'm really hoping I have enough yarn. I think I do, but if for whatever reason I don't, and I have just like a small amount left, I have other gray yarn that I might just use to finish it up, find one that's the closest to this color, and we ignore it. If it's like if it's a drastic amount that is if it's pretty obvious and I have like a lot more left to go, then I'm gonna have to rip back and go down just to the small size, and then go from there. I'm really hoping I have to do that, because that's a lot of work that I have to rip back. I mean, this is where the marker is, and this is how much I've knitted since the marker. Like, oh, I'm really, really, really hoping I don't have to rip back. Oh my gosh, that would suck. Oh my gosh, that would suck so bad. Okay, so just pray for me, because I really don't want to have to do that. But okay, so I really do plan on making another one of these. 2, actually. I'm sure I'll make more, but they want to come in. They're knocking. They want to come in. The next one I'm going to make is a dark brown one, so I can pair it with that sweater. And then I want to make a dark purple one, of course. I know. So, yeah, I think after I finish this shawl, I will finish the other sock, and then we'll just go from there. Now, I guess this is a good segue into acquisitions, because every year I do this thing. I'm trying to make it a tradition. I didn't do it last year because I had just had a baby. Anyway, the year before that, I had crocheted a blanket, and my family, we have been trying to do white elephant gifts instead of everybody buying gifts for each individual person, because that's a lot of money, and times is tough these days. Okay, so we've been doing white elephant instead, so that way everyone has a present, no one's left out, but we're not like spending a majillion dollars. Okay, the limit is $20 or something like that, because Kevin's parents come, and then my whole family comes, and then we're just like a big pool of people giving gifts, and that's just too much money for everyone to have to try. And plus, like, if somebody brings a new boyfriend or girlfriend or a friend or whatever, then it's like that person could potentially be left out. Thanksgiving, we all get together, and then we say, okay, this is the white elephant situation we're doing. We need to take names so we know how many people there are, so that way we know every single person's getting a gift. And then for Christmas, we all get together and everybody has a gift. We get to play a game, and it's fun. Everyone's engaged. I made a blanket as my white elephant, as Kevin and I's white elephant gift, and everybody went crazy over it. And then last year I wasn't able to, because I just pushed on the baby. So this year I'm going to do it again and try to make it a tradition. I found a pattern that I really like. I have this like super white chunky yarn, and I've been craving crochet, specifically a crochet blanket, so much lately. So I'm going to crochet a blanket. I started one, but I'm not liking it so much, so it's just sitting to the side. I'm not even going to bother showing you, because there's literally nothing to show you. So my plan after finishing those socks is to crochet a blanket for my family's white elephant situation for Christmas. And then, excuse me, And then we'll just go from there. I really want to, I'm working on getting rid of my stash. Like I said, I'm not taking in any new yarn besides sock yarn, and unless it's gifted to me, then obviously I have no choice. But, oh my gosh, they're right outside my window. That's in the books. And then I want to knit a cardigan next. I'm kind of thinking about the champagne cardigan. I know. Okay, we don't have to talk about this. Okay, I want to knit the champagne cardigan. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna find yarn in my stash somewhere that's gonna be good for it. I'm going to do it. I have one in mind because I picture the champagne cardigan. I picture Tiffany from Typical Bliss. She did her champagne cardigan in like a yellow, and it just looks so fuzzy and comfy. And so I have this yellow yarn that is thicker, not thick, but like it's like I'm pretty sure it's DK, and it is fuzzy to look like mohair. So I figure I could just use that instead of having to buy a fingering weight and like mohair or whatever. You know what I mean? A base and mohair because it's already right there in one. And I know that I have enough yarn for it because I have quite a few skeins. So I'm gonna probably use that. That would use up those yarns out of my stash, and then also I would just get a cardigan out of it, and it would look great. So I think that's next after the blanket situation, but we'll see. When we cross that bridge, I have to finish the scarf and sock first, and then the blanket, and then we'll go from there. Um, oh yeah, and then okay, the other thing I wanted to do. This is how much yarn I have left from the Melange sweater. This is all I have left from that skein. I'm not gonna buy more, okay? Because remember, we're not doing that. We're in a yarn ban for a year, so we have until June of next year. What I am gonna do is make some kind of scrappy project out of this because this is not enough for anything. Anything. I could make my daughter a matching hat actually, now that I think about it. But I don't think it's even enough for that. So I was thinking about knitting her a sweater, and I was gonna do kind of like a ombre, if you could even call it that. But I was thinking of doing like a drop shoulder or even a circular yoke because I really want to try circular yoke. But the top part would be like a dark brown, and then I would mix this in with a dark brown for a little bit, and then do like a section of this, and then mix it in with like a cream, and do the bottom part like a cream, so it fades. I think that would look so cute, and this is enough to do a little bit of something, I guess. I don't even know. So yeah, we'll see. So that is everything I have for like knitting and yarn topic. We're going to transition into now reading, okay? Because I've been into reading. So here I have the book that I'm currently reading. Now, if you're here last time, my last podcast, I was talking about the Twilight series. I was reading the Twilight series. I had just finished Twilight, and I was getting ready to start New Moon, or had just started New Moon, or something like that. Well, since then, I have finished New Moon, and I am about halfway through Eclipse. You can see my little mark there. So, yeah, I have put reading on hold for a little bit just because for some reason lately I have been so exhausted from just life that like I come to bed and I'm like, I don't even want to look at a book. So, I just have it here on my nightstand so that I can read it before bed. And that's kind of what I've been doing, except for like the last few nights. So I've read a book and a half basically, and finished the sweater, finished a sock, and cast on and almost finished the scarf. Now, after I finish this, we're gonna read because I have the collection. If you were here last time, I have the Twilight collection. Actually, it's right here. I had this whole collection. My husband gave it to me as a Christmas present last year, and I was able to read it for a while because I had just had a baby and life is crazy, blah, 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 all that. So I just started picking them up and started reading them back in May or June. I think in June is when, June is when I started reading Twilight again for the second time. Like, no, I started for the second time reading it, but it's my first time reading it all the way through. And I finished that book in like, I want to say a few days, if not like a week or something. I think I finished it in 6 days or something like that. And then I finished New Moon in like a week or something. And then I've just been slowly reading Eclipse just because, like I said, life. So the next book is the short second life of Bree Tanner. It's this one right here. Now, if you're unfamiliar or if you've never read these before, the short second life of Bree Tanner comes after Eclipse and before Breaking Dawn. It's like a side story that kind of doesn't really have much to do with the storyline of the Cullens and all of that business. Um, if you have seen the movies, I don't know if you remember, but in Eclipse, like after they're done doing that war in the field, there's like a scene where the Volturi show up and there's a girl, like she has long dark brown hair. She's hiding behind uh, Carlisle and Esme, and they're saying like, "Oh, you missed one." And she's like, "No, like she's gonna be part of our family now. Like she doesn't want this life, you know. She's gonna be with us." And then the Volturi are just like, and they take her out. So that's who Bree Tanner is. That's what I've been told. I don't know. I've never read that book before, so I don't know if that's the truth or not. But that's what I've been told. And apparently, her and Riley, who is like the leader of the newborn army, who is the partner of or like the puppet to Victoria, those two, I guess, fall in love or have a thing or something. I don't know. So that book is next. It's literally like it's so short, so it's gonna take no time to finish it. And then from there we go on to Breaking Dawn. So that's all I have for reading. Okay, now I'm gonna talk about gardening. So my garden. Um, I don't talk about it that. I don't think I've talked about it that much, but I was growing a few things. I started growing, or I planted broccoli, potatoes, onions, garlic, bell pepper, tomato, butternut squash, and zucchini, and then some flowers. Now, and I also planted like some watermelon seeds. The watermelon seeds did nothing. The onion and garlic did nothing. The onion grew sprouts, but we're not growing bulbs. The broccoli grew the plants, but not the actual broccoli that you can eat, and it eventually got taken over by the zucchini, so it died. Anyway, the zucchini plant, I got quite a few zucchinis out of it, but there's just so many beetles that came out of nowhere. Like, I'm so upset. So they completely destroyed my zucchini plant, not to mention the fact that I put my zucchini plant, my tomatoes, my bell peppers, and my squash all in one little bed. So, like, the zucchini grew up friggin', same with the tomatoes, and then the bell pepper and the squash were stunted. But then the squash all of a sudden, like, just freaked out, and then my zucchini plant died. So we had to rip that one out. And then I took out my potatoes, and I didn't get much of a potato harvest. I got like maybe 5 or 6 like average sized, small sized potatoes, and we ate those up like immediately, basically. So yeah, no potatoes to show. And then my onions, like I said, didn't do anything. And then I've been getting so many tomatoes, though, so many tomatoes that I'm like, what am I gonna do with all these tomatoes? Like, there's so many. My squash, like I said, finally just like started growing really good, but it's not producing any fruit really. I only have like 3 or 4 squash on there that are like looking okay, and then only one that is really like about to be ready to harvest soon. So yeah, I don't know. We might get like maybe 2 or 3 squash off there. My bell peppers only made 3 peppers. They were like this big, like not very big, and we haven't eaten them yet, but they smell so good. Um, but my dahlia, on the other hand, is the only flower that I planted from seed that is actually alive. So she has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bulbs on it, and this is the first one to bloom. I picked this the other day, and I'm just so proud. It's a lot brighter on camera, but this is the color I'm talking about. Like, just this is a little bit brighter than the color I'm talking about. But yeah, just this moody purple. Like on camera it's like pink, but in person it's really just like a purple. It's kind of like the center of it, I would say, is like a wine, like a grape juice, and then the outer layers are like a maroon, like pinkish almost. And it's just so glorious. I'm so obsessed. I never knew how much I love dahlias. My favorite flower is hydrangeas, and I think dahlias are pretty close to that too because I just love it's just so poofy and just so big, it's just so vibrant. I have a second head that's blooming right now that should be ready to be added to this in like a couple days. And then I'm hoping that we should be able to get a bouquet of this pretty soon. That's pretty much it, I think. I don't really have anything else going on in life right now other than just this disgusting heat wave, and I'm missing the rain. Like every day I wake up and I'm like angry instantly. I'm just like, I want it to rain so bad. It's been so long since we've had rain. And I am a fall girly. My favorite season of all time is fall, and if it was my way, it'd be fall year round. Okay? Because my daughter was born in fall, and I'm like, you are so lucky. That is my favorite season. I guess not really, because you can't really have. I mean, I got lucky because my birthday parties were always able to be outside. But anyway, she'll be fine. Thank you so much for hanging out with me in my room today, and I thank you for being patient with all this chaos and noise in the background. On the bright side, we're getting a new ceiling, or I mean, a new roof, so that's pretty cool. Anyway, I will be seeing you very soon, I hope. I have a lot of life changes that are coming up, so content might be slow again, but I guarantee as soon as fall hits, there will hopefully be a lot of content coming your way. Yeah, I suggest, no, I welcome you to follow me on Instagram and keep up with me there. I'm going to try and start posting more stuff on Instagram too. I've been posting to my stories a lot, but I need to remember to like actually post it to my actual Instagram. So I'm going to start doing that as I create and go. And then, yeah, subscribe if you enjoyed this video. And I'll be catching you on the next one. Bye!